Someone burns out at work. They watch a few videos about hunter-gatherers. And suddenly, modern life starts to feel like a mistake. The ancient world looks clean, honest, free, no performance reviews, no rent, no inbox, just open land and real people living real lives. I get it. I felt it too. But that feeling relies entirely on one thing, not thinking too hard about the details. Because the moment you ask one practical question, the whole fantasy starts to crack. If you walked into that world today, you would not last 3 days. And honestly, neither would I. So let's take the filter off. Let's walk through a real day in the so-called perfect ancient world. Sunrise. You wake up, not on memory foam, not to an alarm you can ignore. You open your eyes on cold, hard dirt. Your back aches, your joints are stiff, but there's no snooze button on hunger. In this world, your body is the only tool you have, and it needs to move. We picture hunter-gatherers taking easy walks through lush forests, maybe pausing to pick berries, resting under shade trees. The reality was a different thing entirely. In 2012, anthropologist Herman Poncer published a landmark study in the scientific journal PLOS One. Using GPS trackers on modern hunter-gatherer communities, he measured exactly how far people actually moved each day. Women walked up to 5 miles. Men walked up to 11 every single day. No weekends, no recovery days. But here's what those numbers don't tell you. You're not walking on a clean trail. You're pushing through dense, thorny brush, uneven ground, carrying everything you own on your back in all weather. I know what even a fraction of this feels like. A while back, I went on a 20-kilometer hike into the mountains, nearly 1,000 meters of elevation gain. We waded through streams. My shoes were completely soaked, arms covered in mosquito bites. At one point, I remember sitting on a wet rock thinking, if I had to do this again tomorrow just to eat, I would completely fall apart. By the next morning, my legs hurt so much I could barely stand. And that's when I realized, I don't actually want to live in the wild. I want nature, but I want a hot shower waiting at the end. I want the view, not the suffering. But ancient humans had no exit, no hotel, no choice. In 2014, anthropologist Colin Shaw analyzed the bones of ancient hunter-gatherers and found something remarkable. Their bone density and rigidity matched modern Olympic athletes, not from training, from the relentless, non-stop physical grind of daily survival. They walked on sprained ankles. They moved through chronic pain because starvation was the only alternative. And the physical exhaustion? That was actually the easy part. Mid-morning. You're out foraging now, digging in the dirt for roots. A branch snaps back and cuts your leg. Right now in 2025, this is nothing. You clean it, bandage it, forget it happened. In an ancient camp, that same small cut starts a countdown. Dirt enters the wound. Bacteria multiply. No soap, no antiseptic, no antibiotics. The infection spreads quietly until it can't be stopped. The biggest threats in the ancient world weren't giant predators. They were the things you couldn't see. In 2016, a study published in The Lancet Infectious Diseases analyzed ancient DNA recovered from paleofeces. What they found was striking. Early humans were chronically infected with internal parasites, tapeworms, whipworms, blood flukes. Constant abdominal pain wasn't unusual. It was standard. A broken tooth didn't mean a dentist appointment. Without treatment, it could easily become fatal. Think about the last time you were seriously ill. When I had COVID, I felt terrible. Aching body, spiking fever. But I walked to my kitchen, took some medicine. A few hours later, I was moving around again, feeling almost normal. We don't even think about this anymore. A tiny pill. The pain retreats. Without modern medicine, a simple fever isn't an inconvenience. It's a roll of the dice, and sometimes you lose. But infection wasn't the only invisible threat, because not every danger came from nature. And if the bacteria didn't get you, other people might. We like to imagine ancient tribes living in peaceful harmony, sharing food, caring for one another. But in 1982, a report detailed an expedition led by paleoanthropologist Tim D. White in northern Ethiopia. They examined a 300,000-year-old fossil skull. The evidence was unmistakable. The person had been intentionally scalped. Ancient life wasn't a peaceful utopia. Violence between groups was common, brutal, and it left marks on bones that survived hundreds of thousands of years. Midday, the sky turns dark. The wind picks up. The temperature drops fast. We picture the ancient world in golden light, warm breeze, soft grass. But rain doesn't pause because you're exhausted. The storm keeps going whether you're ready or not. Think about a heavy rainstorm right now. You run to your car, you drive home, you close the door, you listen to the rain hit the window and feel completely safe. Now take away the car, take away the walls, take away the roof. You're crouched under a thin tree, shivering in soaked animal hides. Every piece of wood is too wet to burn. You just sit there, cold, in the dark, waiting for the sun. And here's the part that most history videos skip entirely. The real danger wasn't any single storm. It was what happened when the weather didn't change for months. In 2012, paleoanthropologist Richard Potts published extensive research on climate fluctuations in East Africa. He found that early humans endured repeated unpredictable droughts. When drought hit, plants died. Animal herds moved on. There was no grocery store, no supply chain, no backup plan. If the land around you dried up, the camp starved. You were entirely at the mercy of the earth, and the earth was unpredictable in ways that could end your entire group. This is usually the point where people stop romanticizing life off the land. It's probably why camping trips end on Sunday. Afternoon, the storm has passed. The camp is quiet now. People sit together. This part is true. Ancient humans had real community, deep bonds, real warmth, real laughter. But that same quiet camp was also carrying a level of grief that most of us today will never fully understand. Here's a number that reframes everything that came before it. In 2018, a comprehensive demographic study published in the journal Evolutionary Anthropology revealed this. Historically, roughly 4 out of every 10 children died before their 5th birthday. Nearly half. Ancient parents loved their children exactly as much as we love ours. They played with them, held them close, sang to them by firelight, but they also buried them regularly. A minor stomach bug, a slight temperature drop, a simple infection. Any of these could sweep through a camp and take a quarter of the young children within a single week. For most families, this wasn't a rare tragedy. It was normal life. This is the cost nobody talks about when they romanticize the past. The freedom to wander came with the permanent, heavy weight of loss. Evening. The sun is setting. The survivors gather around the fire. They cook whatever they found today. Tough roots, a little meat. They sit close together because warmth is survival. They stare out into the darkness beyond the firelight, and they know something out there is staring back. And for most of human prehistory, that wasn't just a feeling. In 2006, anthropologists Donna Hart and Robert W. Sussman published a book called Man the Hunted. After analyzing fossil records spanning millions of years, they reached a conclusion that reframes our entire origin story. For most of human prehistory, we were not the hunters. We were the prey. Giant hyenas, saber-toothed cats, massive eagles. These animals regularly hunted our ancestors. We weren't at the top of the food chain. We were somewhere in the middle, trying not to get eaten. When the fire died down at night, the darkness wasn't peaceful. It was dangerous in a way most of us will never experience. The conclusion. So, here is what that real day actually looked like. You woke up in pain on hard ground, walked nearly 11 miles through rough terrain, risked a life-threatening infection from a small scratch, lived with parasites in your body, could be killed by a rival group, sat through a freezing storm with no shelter, watched children die around you, and fell asleep hoping nothing large found you in the dark. We sit at our desks and tell ourselves that modern life is a trap, that we were somehow tricked into all of this, but nobody forced us here. We ran here on purpose. Our ancestors made a deliberate trade, the most important trade in the history of our species. They gave up the freedom of open land for walls, for security, for predictability. We invented agriculture because a field of wheat is more reliable than hoping you find berries today. We built employment because a steady income means you won't starve when winter comes. We created desk jobs because a keyboard is infinitely safer than being hunted. We built walls, roofs, water treatment plants, and antibiotic labs. We traded the danger of the wild for the stability of the ordinary. And it was the right call. Now, one thing I want to be clear about before we close. Modern life creates its own real problems: loneliness, burnout, anxiety, disconnection. Those aren't imaginary. They're worth taking seriously. But sometimes we forget what problems we actually solved. Central heating is easy to mock until you imagine a winter without it. Antibiotics sound boring until you think about what a scratched leg used to mean. So the next time you're sitting at your desk, staring at a spreadsheet, feeling like something is slowly draining out of you, take a breath. Look at the walls around you. Look at the ceiling above you. You're not in a prison. You're in a fortress. A fortress built by people who never got to enjoy it. People who spent 300,000 years earning the stability you're sitting inside right now. They would look at your safe, warm, climate-controlled life and think you were living like a god. If this gave you a slightly different way to look at your Monday morning, hit the like button. It helps this reach more people. Subscribe if you want to keep exploring the hidden truths behind human history and psychology. Don't let anyone romanticize the past for you. Appreciate the walls around you. Enjoy your hot water today. See you in the next one.